Hey guys, what's up? It's Savannah. Welcome back to another episode of My Thoughts Exactly. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today. If you are new here, hi, my name is Savannah and I am your host of My Thoughts Exactly. Before we get started, if you have not already, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. We post every single Friday here on the podcast and the video version on YouTube as well, and you are not going to want to miss it. So with that being said, happy Friday, you guys. I hope that you have had a great week so far, and if you haven't, guess what? We did it. It's the weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend. It's a long weekend. We love that. Wait, is this weekend Memorial Day weekend? It might be next weekend. Hold on. Let me fact check. I'm phoning a friend, and by friend, I mean Google Maps or calendar. Yeah, it's this weekend. Okay, this weekend is Memorial Weekend. Hopefully you guys get a long weekend. You do something fun, exciting. I will not be doing much. I'm going to be laying low, and I have a reason for that, which I will tell you next week in next week's episode, so make sure you tune into that. But anyways, not about me. I hope that you guys have a great weekend. Do something fun. I hope the weather is nice. We have been having the worst weather here in Nashville. I don't know what happened. We were like great, and now it's just rain, like thunderstorm, which honestly, I'm going to be laying low this weekend anyway, so it's not going to be like the biggest deal. It's going to be kind of nice to have an excuse to not do anything. Also, I've said it once, I'm going to say it again, the freaking cicadas, you guys, listen, I've been trying to understand what purpose these pterodactyls that are flying through the sky serve, but it is I'm hibernating. I'm not leaving my home. I know it sounds dramatic, but I am not used to like like fist-sized bugs flying through the air, smacking into your face every few seconds. And some places are better than normal is what I'm learning. I know that pretty much like everyone has cicadas if you're in like the South or the Midwest. I don't know. Don't quote me. I'm just saying what I've heard. And apparently they like trees. And lucky for me, guess what my house is surrounded by? Trees. So we have a lot of them here, and I'm hoping that they go away soon, but who knows, honestly. I'm just spending a lot of time in my house lately, but honestly, I'm not mad about it because I really like being here anyways, and I would probably be here regardless of the cicadas or not. It's just giving me an excuse to like have to stay home, quote unquote. So that's been the update over here. Lots of hibernating, lots of hiding in my home, and lots of not going outside because I am afraid of getting hit in the face with these blind, giant freaking bugs. So that's my rant about the cicadas. But anyways, not why we're here today. We're here today to do something I'm very excited about. Today, as you can tell by the title of this episode, we are reacting to your unpopular pop culture opinions. All things celebrity, all things pop culture. I have always kind of debated how much I want to get into pop culture with you guys because I think that some of you, like, you don't come to me for like your pop culture news, obviously. But part of me is like, would it be fun to talk about? Maybe it would be a good segment to have on the podcast. So let me know what you think. If it's something that you want to kind of have incorporated into the podcast episodes to kind of talk about what's been going on for the week, or if you're like, Savannah, just shut it, I get it somewhere else, that's cool too. I can take a hint. Anyways, I'm really excited because I love going through you guys' opinions in general, and I love pop culture. So I love pop culture plus your opinions, like the best thing ever. So I asked you guys on the My Thoughts Exactly Instagram page, which if you do not follow it, make sure you are. It's just at My Thoughts Exactly podcast. I've said it once, I'll say it again. It's where you get all things this podcast. It's where I'm always asking you guys questions, polls, what would Sav do? It's all on that Instagram page. So make sure you go follow it. I asked you guys yesterday for some of your pop culture opinions, and you guys did not disappoint. I kind of skimmed over a couple of them, but I haven't really read all of them, and you guys did come jam-packed. So I am excited to give my opinion if I have it, and I probably will. I probably will have one. And so let's just jump right on into it today. First one. See, okay, there's a lot of these. The Taylor Swift is overrated. We're just going to have to get this one out of the way just to get it out of the way because you guys definitely, that was a consistent one. Taylor Swift is overrated. Taylor Swift is overrated. Taylor Swift is an industry snake. She undermines female artists when she feels threatened. Here's my personal opinion on Taylor Swift. I love her. I do. I'm a Swiftie. I am. And I unapologetically am. I love Taylor Swift. I think that, is she the best vocalist? No. Does she try to be? In my opinion, no. I think that she is a brilliant songwriter. I think that she puts on a hell of a performance. I've seen her in concert. I saw her last year. She was actually my very first concert, and then I saw her again last year. And truthfully, the Eras Tour concert is the best concert that I've ever been to. Again, I think that when we're looking at like, is Taylor Swift the most vocally talented artist? Like, no, there are better singers out there. Do I think that her level of celebrity is kind of unlike anything we've really ever seen in our generation? I think the closest thing that I remember, other people would compare, Michael Jackson or Mariah Carey or Elvis or, different, like that level of celebrity. I think the biggest celebrity in from my recollection that was kind of similar somewhat was Justin Bieber. I remember when Justin Bieber was at his peak, Justin Bieber was like everywhere, but not even to this extent, in my opinion. I feel like I'm seeing Taylor Swift a lot more than I ever really saw Justin Bieber, even when he was at his peak. So, everyone's going to have their different opinion about her. That's kind of what comes with having such a high status of celebrity. Do I think it's unwarranted? Like, do I think that she doesn't deserve it? Like, no, I do think that she's incredibly talented. I do think that she's like one of the most, I don't know how she has time to sleep. Like, truthfully, I think about it a lot, actually. Like, whenever I see anything with her, I'm like, how is this woman sleeping? How does this woman have any time to do anything other than get on stage and write songs? It seems like that's just what she lives and breathes. And honestly, it seems like she enjoys it. It seems like she's passionate about it. I loved the album. I thought it was great. It wasn't everyone's cup of tea, which is okay. I think that a lot of people think that she is overrated because we haven't seen anyone at this caliber in a really long time in terms of like her celebrity and her status. I also think people think she's overrated because they equate that someone, or they believe that someone who has that big of status should be the best of the best in every category. So like the best singer, the best dancer, the best performer, the best songwriter. And she doesn't hit all those marks. So like I do understand why people think that she is overrated. I also think that people are afraid of like the Taylor Swift cult, like the Swifties or whatever. Like they're afraid to say anything bad about her because some of these fans are like ride or frickin' die for Taylor Swift. So I get that kind of whole thing about it too. Do I think she's overrated? No, but I understand. Again, I get it. I'm not like, I'm not going to freak out. Like I'm not going to have like a panic attack if someone says that they don't like Taylor Swift, or I'm not going to, it doesn't affect me like that, but I really like her. I think she's great. Okay, next one. Gypsy Rose should not be glorified. Interesting. There was another one about Gypsy Rose right here, actually right next to it. It says, this is an in-between opinion. I cannot decide whether I support Gypsy Rose or not. If you do not know, we're talking about Gypsy Rose Blanchard. If you do not know who Gypsy Rose Blanchard is, Gypsy Rose Blanchard was charged in the murder of her mother. This was, I forget exactly the year, but it was quite some time ago, and she was charged with murdering her mom, and there was obviously a lot of abuse going on. Her mom had, there was a lot of Munchausen by proxy going on. It's a whole thing. I did a case on it on Killer Instinct, and she got released from prison in December. I'm pretty sure we all are aware of what's going on with Gypsy Rose. I see, this is what's hard. I agree. I don't think that we need to be glorifying Gypsy Rose, and I don't necessarily think anyone is anymore. I think in the beginning, the hype around her and like the Tipsy for Gypsy parties and like all of the, again, celebrity and glam and romanticizing Gypsy Rose Blanchard that was going on was unsettling for me as someone watching and someone who's very, tuned into all the true crime stuff in the true crime world and knowing her case very, very well. It was very unsettling to see how much people were obsessing over her and kind of the attention and spotlight that she was getting. Do I think that she deserved to be in jail forever? No. Do I think that she obviously, went through something very traumatic herself and it's hard to put yourself in that situation? Yes. I go back and forth on it too. I agree with you on that one. Sometimes I'm like, oh, yes, live your best life, whatever. But then in the back of my mind, it's always really hard for me to kind of justify all of it, because I'm like, it just doesn't sit right with me. And I don't know, again, if it's just because I'm really tied into the true crime world and I'm really, I see a lot of these cases and it's like, you did play a part in it. And I think that's what really rubbed me the wrong way too in the very beginning, when she was doing all of these interviews and all these podcasts and all these media. And she was saying that people need to understand that she was not the one who committed the act of the kill. It's like, okay, girly pop, but also like the kill wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for you. So I don't know. I go back and forth with it. I want everyone to be able to like live their best life and live in peace and like live whatever is their truth. And, if she's doing that, great. Like, my opinion isn't going to change whether or not she goes back to prison or whatever. But I do think that she should not be glorified necessarily. I do agree with that. And I do think, the Mother's Day post was a little unnerving. I'm not going to lie. I didn't love that. I don't know. I go back and forth with it about it too. Next one, Kim Kardashian gets away with so much and it's hard to respect it. Never fully held accountable for the Taylor Swift bullshit. Yes, I do think, okay, here's the thing about the Kardashians. I think the Kardashians in general are overrated, but I do think that we are seeing the downfall of the Kardashians. I truly, in my heart of hearts, believe that that is the trajectory that we are on. I feel like they're all kind of like pushing all of these products now because they're like kind of scrambling. I feel like, not that they are like scrambling for money or anything, but like kind of to stay relevant a little bit, the show and everything. And when it comes to Kim, I do think that I don't necessarily know all of the things that she's gotten away with. I think that she receives a lot of criticism, and a lot of times, deserved or undeserved, it is up to, it's subjective. Some of the things, like I can remember the get your ass up and work, like she got killed for that. The Tom Brady roast, everyone was giving her shit for that. What I will say is the girl shows up every time. Like, does not matter. She is the definition of no publicity is bad publicity, or all publicity is good publicity. She will show up every time just so people talk about her. I think that in terms of, and she was never fully held accountable for the Taylor Swift bullshit. Again, if you're not fully familiar, this has to do with Kanye West. I believe this is what it has to do with Kanye West mentioning Taylor Swift in a song, and Taylor Swift said that she never gave permission, and then Kim released like a voice message or a phone call that showed that Taylor did give permission, like there was a conversation there, but then Taylor came out and said that, what he ended up saying in the song was not what she gave permission to, and she very much says that on the phone call. It's very clear what she says yes to. So there's a lot that's been going on. And again, this all roots back to like the MTV Awards and Kanye West raiding the stage when Taylor was accepting her award. So much was going on with, Kim Kardashian, Taylor Swift. Now you have like, thank you, Amy, all of the things. I think that when it comes to the Taylor Swift stuff, I don't know enough about it. I know it seems like I just gave you a synopsis, but like I don't know the nitty gritty details of it to give an opinion on whether or not she was held accountable, because I don't really know what she is being held accountable for or should be held accountable for. Not saying that she shouldn't be, but I just don't know enough about it. I do think that, again, I think she gets criticized a lot. Not saying that it's not deserved. I think that she always shows up because all publicity is good publicity. And I think that she is obsessed with fame. I think that she is very obsessed with fame. I think that she's obsessed with the spotlight. I think she's obsessed with being in front of the camera. She said, many, many times that her number one goal is to become, and was always to become, famous. That's why she was like tied to Paris Hilton and whatever. And, her dad was obviously in the industry growing up and all of those things. But I don't know necessarily that she gets away with a lot. I think that she just doesn't let the negative publicity get to her. I think she just keeps it moving. And some would see that as good, some would see that as bad. I think she just kind of like is very tunnel visioned, and she knows about the bad publicity she gets, and she knows about the things that she gets away with, but she doesn't necessarily get the chance to be held accountable for them because she doesn't get caught up in it, and she doesn't stop and like make a statement. She doesn't stop and talk about it. She just like moves on to the next, if that makes sense. That's my opinion about it. Next one, throwback music to when we were growing up is much better than today's music. So the music we had growing up is better than today's music. I do agree with that. Every time I've been getting in my car lately, I've been going back to my throwback playlists. I love the good like 2000s, 2010, 2015, 2018, 2016 summer music was so freaking good. But yeah, I'm definitely a throwback girly through and through. I also love like throwback, like alternative stuff, Boys Like Girls, like early stuff, Click 5 early stuff. I love a good throwback playlist. Next one, am I the only one excited that Janelle Evans is returning to Teen Mom on MTV? Okay, I didn't know that. I did not know she was returning to MTV. Teen Mom, it must be like a Teen Mom, but like older version, because she's definitely not a teen anymore. What I will say about Janelle Evans, if you don't know, Janelle Evans was on Teen Mom, you know, way back when she was pregnant with her son. And I think it was like 16 and pregnant at the time. And she was on that show. And then after that, she's always been tied to the series, like the Teen Moms and all of those types of shows on MTV. I do know that in the very beginning and up until recently, she was in a lot of tumultuous and toxic relationships. She's had a really toxic relationship with her mom, it seems like. I don't really know a lot about it to get into it, so I'm not even going to touch it. But what I do know is that she recently divorced her husband, or her ex-husband, who apparently maybe separated. I don't really know the exact term, but apparently he was not the best guy from what I've seen and heard. Not the most, not the best type of guy to be with. It seemed like it was really toxic. And from someone who even is just like an outsider and doesn't really keep up with her life, I do see videos of her on TikTok. And as of recently, she just looks so much happier and healthier and just has more of a glow to her. She seems more present. She seems, again, overall just happier. And so if she's going to be doing something that is pointing her in a new positive direction for this new chapter of her life, like, I am all for that. I think that's awesome. I think that's amazing. And I think she deserves it, because I think it is obviously really hard to get yourself out of a toxic environment and a toxic situation. And I definitely applaud anyone who's like able to do that and choose themselves after, going through something like that. So I think that that is amazing. Next one, Liz Gillies is underrated. Have you heard her sing lately? Complete goddess. If you don't know, Liz Gillies was Jade in Victorious, and she was also on another show called Dynasty. I believe it was from 2017 to 2022. But I think most people around my age know her as Jade from Victorious, and I agree. I think she was completely underrated on the show. I don't think they gave her enough like storylines. I don't think they gave her enough songs. Her music, or not her music, but her voice is stunning. I've never heard anything like that she's done originally. I don't know if she does originals or has covers or albums or singles or demos or anything, but I do know that her voice is stunning. And I think that every time they see a video of hers, because I know that there were a lot of videos going around of her singing with Ariana Grande. I know the two of them are really close, and Liz was like going on tour and shows with Ariana Grande and performing a song with her. And I think every time I saw that video circulating, everyone in the comments was shocked at how amazing Liz Gillies' voice is, because I think watching Victorious, we all knew like Victoria Justice, Tori, was like the main singer of the group, and they really like showcased her during that show. Same with Ariana Grande. Obviously, she has a stellar music career. And then you see Liz Gillies, who also has such an amazing talent and such an amazing voice, but it wasn't really as broadcasted as the other two girls on the show. So I agree. I think that she was completely underrated during that time, and honestly still is. Next one. Olivia Rodrigo isn't that good, but her songwriting / lyrics are genius. I agree with this. I'm not the biggest Olivia Rodrigo fan. I'm just going to be honest, but it's nothing to do with like her song. I don't know what it is. I'm just like, I don't gravitate to her music normally, but when I listen to it, her songwriting is amazing. I think her songwriting is great, but I think, again, does she have the best voice in the world? No. Do I think that's okay? Yes, not everyone can, but clearly she's incredibly talented. I think she has a really good voice. I think she comes out with great music. Again, she's just not it's not just not what I gravitate towards when I listen to any artist. Moving on, TikTok and social media is the downfall for the future of younger generations. I agree. I think that social media, it might be a little hypocritical of me to say, considering this is the world that I live in. But I do think that social media comes with a lot of negative if you let it. I think that especially on younger generations who are super impressionable, being exposed to something like social media, like the internet, is a very scary and daunting thing. I always tell Hayden, we always say that, we feel so lucky that we grew up in a generation that was kind of like right before the iPad kids, or like right before the kids who just like immediately get funneled into the world of social media. I can't imagine how hard that must be for those, kids who are exposed to it at such a young age. I think that I think about myself and think about all the insecurities that I had without TikTok, without Instagram being what it is today. And I can't imagine how I would have felt if that was my reality, like if that was my exposure to social media being how it is today back then. It probably would have really had a negative impact on like my mental health and just my overall security in myself. I would have felt, I think, a lot more insecure just seeing everyone on social media and not really having the conscious to know that, comparison is such a thief. And, when you go on social media, it's so easy to look at people's highlight reels and be like, oh my God, their lives are so much better, or she's prettier, she's skinnier, or she, whatever, has a better life, and not really know the reality of social media as I do today because I'm older, and I'm not super influenced by it because I didn't grow up with it. So I do think that there are a lot of dangers when it comes to social media in a younger generation, because I think that, they're still having such an impressionable mind, and then being exposed to literally the whole world at your fingertips is a dangerous game to play. It's a roll of the dice to see how it's going to affect you. So I do think that, again, yeah, I agree. I think that it has a possibility to have a really negative impact on people and on kids. So I would agree with that. Hey Sab, Beyonce's new album is overrated, especially Texas Hold'em. Love you, girl. I love Beyonce's album. I thought it was so good. I understand how it's not everyone's thing. I think Beyonce going into the country space was something that not a lot of people expected, and everyone had a lot of strong opinions about, or not everyone, but a lot of people had strong opinions about it. I think that it was a great album. I love her one with, I love Jolene. I love the Post Malone song. I love the Miley Cyrus song. I love Texas Hold'em. But again, I live in Nashville. I don't know if that has something to do with it, but honestly, like driving through like back roads and stuff in Tennessee and listening to her album, it's just a really fun time. I really like it. And I also like that she is kind of venturing into a different space, and we've never seen someone like Beyonce do country. Like, I think she's kind of breaking the glass when it comes to that, and I really, really respect her for that. And again, I get why some people don't like it because it's Beyonce and people have like a very specific image of what they want when it comes to Beyonce, and country typically isn't it. But I really liked the album. I thought it was really good, and I thought it was cute. Next one, Bachelor in Paradise over the regular Bachelor and Bachelorette. I will say Bachelor in Paradise like 3 years ago, yes. Bachelor in Paradise last year, I did not like. And I honestly think that Joey's season really changed the game. I think that the Golden Bachelor really changed the game for the Bachelor franchise. I think that they brought in a lot more viewers than they had previously. I think that people were really starting to fall off and really only watching for Bachelor in Paradise because Bachelor in Paradise had more drama. And a lot of people thought, as did I, that the main seasons of Bachelor and Bachelorette were either boring or, they just felt lackluster. Like, it just felt like really like there was nothing exciting. It just felt like the same thing over and over again. And then when the Golden Bachelor started, it was like, oh, this is new, this is exciting, this is different. And then watching that, and I loved watching Gary's season. I thought it was great. And then watching Joey, like, I didn't watch Charity season really, and then I watched Joey season, and Joey season got me hooked again. I don't know what magic they put in that season, but I got hooked again. And I really, really loved it. I can't wait to watch Joan as the Golden Bachelorette. I think she's going to do absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait to watch it. Also can't wait to see Jen. I know she's not Maria, but I'm going to still watch the season, hopefully, and hopefully it does not disappoint. I have high hopes. I believe in Jen. She can create an entertaining season. So I'm excited for that. But in terms of like the comparison between the two, does anyone remember when they did Bachelor Pad. That was before Bachelor in Paradise. And Bachelor Pad was essentially the same concept, but they were all in the Bachelor Mansion. They weren't like on the beach. They were in the Bachelor Mansion, and they did like games and competitions, and that's how people got through to be the winner. Bachelor Pad was fun. I liked Bachelor Pad. Bachelor in Paradise, again, I do really like, but I did not like the last few seasons. I just felt like they were really boring, and I felt like they weren't, like, it's just what sucks, and this is just the reality of the world that we live in now, and just the society and where we're at. A lot of people, it's very clear, like, no one's like going on looking for love anymore. Like, that's not a thing anymore. Like, everyone's going on because they want a certain something out of it. There's some sort of ulterior motive, and it's very clear to kind of see who falls where in that line. And then also it's kind of hard because you're seeing people who really aren't serious about finding a relationship because of that. Like, everyone's just kind of there screwing around and doing whatever, which does create for good drama. I will say that. And I do like the drama. I live for drama, and that might be my toxic trait, but I love drama when it's not my own. I love to watch it. I love to be a fly on the wall. I love to know what's going on. But yeah, last season I just like wasn't a big fan. I thought that none of the guys were really that great. I stopped watching like 2 episodes before engagements. I was just kind of over it. Yeah. So I like the actual, as of now, I like the actual Bachelor and Bachelorette more than the Bachelor in Paradise. But like 3-4 years ago, I was all in on Bachelor in Paradise. Like the Ashley and Jared seasons of Paradise, I was so all in on those. I thought those were so good. Okay, next one. The Kardashians are overrated. Yes. I think I said that earlier. Celebrity news is overrated. I actually agree with this. I think the fact, and it's hard because I agree with it, but I like eat it up at the same time. I eat up all of the gossip, the drama, the tea. I eat it all up. But I do think the obsession of knowing what's going on in strangers' lives is something to be questioned and something to be studied. We want to know the nitty-gritty details of the personal lives of all of these people. And I think that all of the news that comes out, some of the news is warranted, I will say that, but I think that some of it is like, who cares? Who cares? Literally, who cares? And so I do think to an extent a lot of the news is overrated, and I think you could say that a lot of people would question why we care so much about other people's lives that aren't our own. So I would say, yeah, I do think that celebrity news is probably overrated. Next one, Kelly Clarkson is overrated. This one I can't agree with you on. I love Kelly Clarkson. Vocally outstanding. I think she is so good. I think she's funny. I think she's witty. Every like show that she's on, if that's like a judge, like The Voice, I love watching it because I love watching Kelly Clarkson. Like her banter is so funny. Whenever she was on The Voice with Blake, I would look up like the highlights just to see the banter between them because I thought it was hysterical. I think Kelly Clarkson's amazing. I'm obsessed. The Justin Haley Selena drama runs deep, but it hasn't been relevant since 2018. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't get it. I'm going to be very honest here. I do not understand this Justin Selena Haley drama obsession that people have. I see on Twitter all the time threads starting back from 2013 that prove that Haley, is obsessed with Selena, and she orchestrated her whole marriage and always wanted to get married to Justin. And then I see, threads of Selena being obsessed with Haley and she wants Justin back. And Selena Gomez, like, here's the thing. Are there probably things that both of them have done to be petty? Sure. They're normal. They're human. We've all done it. We've all been there. I don't get why we still care. I truthfully don't. I think that it's very bizarre that people are hyper fixating on this specific relationship and like can't really get past either or. And I think it's either you're so team Selena or you're so team Haley. And like if you're one, then you like can't fathom even looking in the other's direction, and you get criticized for, every little thing. If you like one of them, you can't have the other one's name in your mouth, or you can't like the other one at all. And I think it's so stupid because at the end of the day, what you're really doing is you're pinning two girls against each other. We don't know what went on behind the scenes. We just don't. And that's the reality of it. So I'm sorry to burst your bubble. You might think you know what happened in Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez and Hailey Baldwin love triangle, but you probably don't. As an outsider, as a normal freaking person, we probably don't know what went on behind the scenes in that relationship. And guess what? It's not our business. And guess what? It doesn't fucking matter. It really doesn't, especially because Hailey and Justin have been married for years now. Why are we still dragging this? You know, I do think that it's very easy to be able to pinpoint like, oh, this has to be about her. This has to be about this girl. It's subtweet, the sub TikToks and, you know, whatever. Some of it probably is very petty, but it's like, why are we even giving into that? Because at the end of the day, like I said, you're pinning two women against each other. Hailey and Justin are having a baby. They're married. That's great. Selena Gomez says she's in the best relationship she's ever been in with Benny Blanco. That's great. Let it die. What was their little couple name? Jelinators? Is that what you called yourselves? Jelena stans? Let it die. And then Hailey and Justin stans, I think you need to leave Selena alone. I think everyone needs to leave each other alone. I can't even imagine not being able to breathe without someone being like, you're thinking about your ex. That was about your ex. You're not over your ex. I would probably lose my mind, truthfully, because I don't like thinking about my exes in general, let alone having everyone else think that everything I do is for my ex. And even if it was, just leave it alone. Again, I think it comes back to the obsession that people have with their like favorite celebrities' personal lives. And I would get it if I would kind of be able to justify it if all of this was happening now, like in the moment. But this happened years ago. We are talking years and years and years ago. And I'm talking about like them getting married, Hailey and Justin and whatever. And you know what? Again, we don't know the details, but if something shady happened between Justin and Hailey, like, yeah, that sucks. But Selena Gomez has clearly moved on. I'm not even going to spend any more time talking about this because I don't want to give it any more attention. But that's my opinion on like the whole Hailey, Justin, Selena stuff. And I do agree with you. I think it probably does run very, very deep. But I don't think it matters anymore. And I think we all need to put it to bed because what's the point of just like keeping this going? There's not a single point to it. Okay, next one. There are a lot of demonic forces in the music industry. See, this is one that I don't really pay attention to. Some may call it ignorance. Some might say ignorance is bliss. I know that there is a lot of talk. I do have people that I know who are into like the conspiracy theories and everything. Not saying that this is a conspiracy theory, but I have people who inform me about kind of what's going on with all of that, you know, with the demonic stuff that gets tied into the music industry or what's it called, the Illuminati, like stuff like that. I don't know enough about it to be able to form my own opinion, but what I will say is whenever any of my friends or anyone who I know like tells me about what's going on, or if like they read something and they show it to me, I'm like, the coincidence is coincidencing. It's weird. I will admit the things that I've seen, it's weird. I don't know enough to form my own opinion, but I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. Again, I like to listen to music to be happy, so I'm not like deciphering it to be like, is there a demonic something going on here? But again, the things that I've seen, it's definitely questionable. So that's my opinion. Okay, this is going to be the biggest hot take of them all, and we're going to end on this one. Harrison Butker's speech wasn't that bad. Okay, let's talk about it. So if you don't know, Harrison Butker is, I believe, a kicker for the Chiefs. And the only reason I know that, the only reason I know his name is because he has made national headlines with this speech that he did as a commencement speech for a college graduation. I'm going to be honest, I haven't watched the whole thing. So to give a fair and accurate opinion, probably I won't be able to give because I haven't watched the whole thing. But what I will say, I did not like the parts that I saw. I think that what he was meaning to say did not come across the way that he wanted to. I think what he was trying to say, it didn't land right. I think that there is nothing wrong with saying, you know, if you want to be a wife, if you want to be a homemaker, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom and be the mother to the children and raise the children, and that's all you want to do, that is a beautiful and amazing thing, and that is a great thing. I love the idea of that. Honestly, I have like the idea of being like a little homemaker, making my little sourdough bread and like making cookies. It sounds great. Sounds great, honestly. But I think that the way that he was expressing things it came off very distastefully, and it came off very just disrespectful towards women, kind of putting them in this box of this is all you ever need to be. Like, don't aspire to be anything else because this is all you ever need to be in life, and like don't have any other goals. Again, this is only based off the clips that I saw, so there might be other things in there that I'm missing, and he might have, said all of this. But from what I saw, my main takeaways were I don't like how he just put women in the box of only being able to be the stay-at-home mom or only being the homemaker. I remember I saw a clip where he said, like, my wife had goals of being, having a career. And if you asked her now, she would laugh and say that, her life started when she had our children and she became a wife and she became a mother. Like, that's when her life really started. I get what he's trying to say. I can piece it together. I get what he's trying to say. Whoever proofread that should not have let him go out there and say it the way that he did. I understand the underlying message, but I don't appreciate the language that was used that portrayed it in a way that made it seem like women are only good for that one thing. And I also, it's funny because I learned that his mom is very, very successful medical chemist and psychiatrist. Like, it's kind of crazy to see that. So that makes me believe he has to have, I don't know. I get confused when I see that because I'm like, okay, you have to have respect for women in a career, because your mom was so successful being a psychiatrist and she got her degree in medical chemistry, something like that. So to see a woman who is so smart and so brilliant, tied to that is weird. I'm not going to lie. So my main takeaways from the points that I saw, I don't like how his points came across. I don't like how his message came across. I don't think he hit the mark. The mark, he missed it. Big time, he missed the mark. But the underlying message, I understand what he was trying to say. And I am, again, I think it's subjective kind of. I think that his underlying message, like, if you want to only be the stay-at-home mom and the homemaker, and that's like your dream and that's your goal, that's awesome and that's amazing and it's beautiful. And if that's the case, then like you're going to think that his message was great. And if you have bigger dreams and aspirations, which is also amazing and wonderful and beautiful, and like you have these big giant goals that you want to accomplish, or any goals really that don't include being a wife and a mother, that's beautiful and amazing too. You get to be whatever you want. You get to do whatever you want. You get to be whatever you want. You get to create the life for yourself. You get to accomplish your goals. You get to do whatever you set your mind to. That's the beauty of it. And you shouldn't be put in a box to try and think that you can only be good at doing one thing and that you're only here to do one thing, because that's not the case. I think that mark was missed big time in his speech. And it is kind of weird to see and backwards to see. And I don't consider myself one who thinks that, being the idea of being the stay-at-home homemaker is a bad thing. I know a lot of people have very differing opinions on it. I think that it's an amazing thing. I'm very much for it if that's what someone wants to do and is willing to do and is able to do it. Some families aren't able to do that and some are, and that's a gift in and of itself. But I think that to put people in a box, and women in a box specifically, to say your life hasn't even started yet because you haven't had, kids, you haven't gotten married, you're not a mom. Again, it's just the mark was missed. The mark was missed, and the fact that it was a man saying it, I don't think made it any better. I think if a girl got up there and said it, it would be I don't think the reaction would have been as harsh. I think people would have raised an eyebrow, but I don't think it would have been as harsh. But I think it's because it was him. And I think it's because he missed the mark and his message didn't get across and he didn't word it right. And I think whoever proofread that should have smacked him upside the head and said, that's not the way you say those things. That's what I think. Anyways, you guys, that's all for me here today. Thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode of My Thoughts Exactly. If you're new here, again, my name is Savannah. Again, make sure you go ahead and hit subscribe if you haven't already. We post weekly on the podcast every single Friday. You guys are not going to want to miss it. I'll be back next week with a brand new one for you guys, and I will see you there. Bye, guys.